The 4 real reasons your throat is full of mucus after 55. Let me ask you something honestly. Do you find yourself clearing your throat 10, 20, sometimes 50 times before lunch even arrives? You swallow, you cough, you take a sip of warm water. It helps for about 30 seconds. Then that thick, sticky sensation comes right back. It is worse in the morning. It is worse the instant your head hits the pillow at night. And nothing you eat or drink seems to make a dent in it. Not honey, not lemon, not tea. But here is what nobody tells you. In the vast majority of patients past 55 dealing with this exact problem, the throat is not the source. Something else, happening somewhere else in your body, is what is generating all that mucus. And most people, including many healthcare providers, never identify it. By the end of this piece, you will know exactly what is driving it, the 4 research-backed causes behind it, and a clear plan you can begin tonight. But first, you need to understand the one hidden cause responsible for most cases, and it happens while you are asleep. My name is Dr. Dan Carter. Over years of working with patients past 60, I have watched this very complaint get brushed aside repeatedly as just aging. Today, I am not going to hand you generic advice. I am going to tell you exactly what I would tell my own mother if you were sitting across from me right now. The real causes and the real steps that work. Reframing mucus. Before we start, before I name the 4 causes, I need to reset something important, because most people hold the wrong idea about mucus itself. And that misunderstanding is precisely why this never gets resolved. Mucus is not your enemy. Your body produces it every single day for excellent reasons. It is your respiratory system's first line of defense. It traps dust, bacteria, viruses, and tiny airborne particles before they ever reach your lungs. It keeps the delicate tissue lining your airways soft and protected. The problem is not the mucus itself. The problem starts when that normally thin, watery, easy-to-clear mucus becomes thick, sticky, and slow. Instead of moving through your airways naturally, it pools at the back of your throat. And here is something most older adults have never been told plainly. Research has confirmed that mucociliary clearance, the medical term for your body's natural conveyor belt that sweeps mucus up and out of your airways, measurably slows with age. Those tiny hair-like structures lining your airways are called cilia. As we get older, those cilia beat more slowly and weakly. Studies show that nasal mucus transit times rise significantly after 60. Translation: mucus that would have cleared in minutes at age 40 can linger for hours at 65 or 70. That is why anything that triggers extra mucus production hits older adults harder and stays around longer. And here is where it gets interesting. Each of the 4 causes I'm about to walk you through becomes more powerful with age. 1. Silent reflux, the hidden cause that happens while you sleep. The first cause is the one I want you to pay the closest attention to. It is called laryngopharyngeal reflux. Most people have never come across that term, so let me explain it plainly. Because this single condition is the most consistently missed reason for chronic throat mucus in adults past 55. You know what classic acid reflux feels like? That burning sensation in the chest after a heavy meal? Heartburn. That is the loud, obvious version. But there is a quieter version, one that produces no chest burning at all, one that can go undetected for months or even years. It is called silent reflux, or LPR for short. Here is what happens. There is a small muscular valve at the bottom of your esophagus, the tube that connects your mouth to your stomach. That valve is supposed to seal tightly after you eat. But as we age, that valve weakens. Stomach acid does not just creep into the lower esophagus. It travels all the way up past the chest, into the throat, into the voice box, sometimes higher. And here is the critical part. Your throat and vocal cords are far more sensitive to acid than your esophagus is. Even microscopic droplets of acid reaching the throat cause significant irritation. Your body's response? Produce more mucus to coat and protect the tissue. Completely logical biology. But night after night, while you are asleep and have no idea this is happening, that mucus response keeps firing. Now, here is the detail that makes this so easy to miss. Research shows that up to 50% of people with LPR have no heartburn at all, no chest burning, no obvious digestive symptoms. Just chronic throat clearing, mild hoarseness that is worse in the morning, and that mucus that will not quit. Cleveland Clinic data notes that roughly 10% of adults have LPR, and more than half of people who see a throat specialist for chronic hoarseness turn out to have it. Ask yourself honestly, Is your throat worse in the morning than the rest of the day? Do you notice more clearing when you bend forward or lie down? Does your voice sound rough when you first wake up? Those patterns matter. One important note: if you regularly take anti-inflammatory pain medication for arthritis or joint pain, research shows that class of drugs is associated with worsening reflux. The mechanism involves a reduction in prostaglandins, protective substances that normally shield your stomach lining. I want to be absolutely clear. I am not telling you to stop any medication. Never change anything on your own. But this is a conversation worth having with your doctor. Stay with me, because the next cause is even sneakier. 2. Post-nasal drip. From chronic low-level sinus inflammation. The second cause is one many people live with silently because it does not present the way they expect. When most people picture sinus problems, they imagine throbbing headaches, intense facial pressure, completely blocked breathing. Yes, that is one version. But in many adults past 55, chronic sinus inflammation is much quieter than that. No dramatic headache. Breathing feels mostly normal. And yet your sinuses, mildly inflamed, are producing a steady extra trickle of mucus that drains slowly and silently down the back of your throat. That is called post-nasal drip. A 2024 study of patients with chronic post-nasal drip found the average patient age was 55, confirming this is very much a problem of the over 55 population. Throat discomfort was the most reported symptom, appearing in nearly 74% of patients. Here is the pattern. You go to bed feeling fine. While you sleep, gravity does its work. Those mildly congested sinuses drain steadily down into the back of the throat. By morning, there is a thick accumulation waiting for you. That heavy sensation, that immediate urge to clear before your first sip of tea. Now, many people reach for antihistamines from the pharmacy, assuming they have allergies. Here's the problem. Antihistamines dry the mucus temporarily without addressing the underlying inflammation. And dried, thickened mucus is often more uncomfortable than the original problem. The approach with the strongest research behind it is daily nasal rinsing with warm saline. The European position paper on rhinosinusitis, one of the most authoritative documents in this field, gives saline nasal irrigation a level 1A evidence rating. A 2025 systematic review in the journal Medicine confirmed nasal irrigation as effective, safe, and low cost for reducing post-nasal drip. The key word is consistency, daily, not occasional. 3. Medication-related mucus, the cause nobody suspects. This third cause genuinely surprises people because when patients think about their throat, their daily prescriptions simply are not on the list of suspects. But for many older adults, certain widely prescribed medications directly contribute to persistent throat symptoms. The most documented example is a class of blood pressure medications called ACE inhibitors. That stands for angiotensin-converting enzyme inhibitors. These drugs are widely prescribed and generally well tolerated, but they carry a recognized class-wide side effect: a dry, irritated throat and a constant urge to clear it. The mechanism is well established. ACE inhibitors allow a substance called bradykinin to accumulate in the body. In susceptible people, that buildup triggers throat irritation. It is not an allergic reaction. It is a pharmacological effect. How common is this? Research in the journal Chest and across multiple studies reports the side effect in roughly 5 to 20% of users. A large study of over 27,000 patients found that adults over 65 had a 53% higher likelihood of developing it compared with younger users. That makes this particularly relevant for our audience. And here is the timing detail that causes the connection to be missed. This side effect does not always appear right away. It can show up weeks or even months after starting the drug. So if you began a blood pressure medication 6 months ago and your throat has been bothering you since, the two may feel completely unrelated. They often are not. Again, I am not telling you to stop any medication, but if you take a blood pressure pill and your throat clearing began or worsened around the time you started it, that is a conversation worth having with your prescribing doctor. There are alternative classes, ARBs, or angiotensin receptor blockers, that lower blood pressure equally well without the same side effect. 4. Dehydration and environmental irritants working together. The fourth cause is actually two factors operating as a team, and together they hit harder than either one alone. The first is inadequate hydration. This sounds almost too simple, but the science is compelling. Think of mucus like honey. Warm honey flows, cold honey is thick and slow. Same substance, only the surrounding hydration changes how it behaves. Your mucus works the same way. Well-hydrated mucus is thin and easy to clear. Dehydrated mucus is sticky and pools. Here is the problem unique to older adults. Research has firmly established that the thirst mechanism becomes less sensitive with age. You can be meaningfully dehydrated enough to thicken your mucus without ever feeling thirsty. Waiting for thirst is a trap. It means you may live in a state of constant, low-grade dehydration without realizing it. A practical target referenced in clinical nutrition guidance is roughly 30 milliliters of fluid per kilogram of body weight per day from all sources: water, herbal teas, soups, water-rich fruits and vegetables. The behavioral shift is to drink intentionally, not reactively. The second factor is environmental. Dry, heated indoor air during winter pulls moisture from the lining of your airways. Wood smoke, strong cleaning fumes, traffic pollution, scented candles, dry air conditioning, all of these create low-level chronic irritation that keeps the mucus response stuck in the on position. These are not dramatic triggers. They are background factors, invisible, constant, cumulative, and that is exactly why they get missed. Warning signs that need a doctor, not self-management. Before I give you the action plan, I want to be honest about certain signs that go beyond ordinary mucus issues. Please speak with your doctor promptly if you notice. Mucus consistently tinged with blood, even in small amounts. Unexplained weight loss alongside your throat symptoms. Difficulty swallowing that gets progressively worse. A persistent lump or swelling in the neck. A major voice change that is not improving. The vast majority of persistent throat mucus in older adults is benign and fixable, exactly what we have been discussing. But your body sometimes uses symptoms to signal something that needs professional attention. Do not self-manage those signs. See your doctor. Margaret's story. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Margaret. Margaret was 68, a retired school teacher who had taught third grade for over 30 years. She came to see me with one complaint that had taken over her life: constant throat clearing. It had been going on for nearly 2 years. She told me she cleared her throat so frequently during family dinners that her grandchildren had started imitating it. She had been to 3 different providers. Each one had told her some version of, "It's just aging," or "It's probably allergies." She brought me her medication list. Right at the top, a blood pressure medication she had started 18 months earlier. The timing fit exactly. Her throat clearing had begun about a month after she began it. We also discussed her sleep posture, her dinner timing, and her water intake. She admitted she rarely felt thirsty and drank maybe 2 small glasses of water a day. I sent her back to her prescribing physician with specific questions. Her doctor switched her to a different class of blood pressure medication. She started drinking warm water in the morning, raised the head of her bed 2 inches, and stopped eating after 7 p.m. Within 6 weeks, the throat clearing had dropped by nearly 80%. She came back to me and said, "Dr. Carter, my granddaughter told me yesterday she misses my throat sound." We both laughed. Then she said something quieter. "I spent 2 years thinking my body had given up on me. It hadn't. Nobody had just bothered to listen." That moment stayed with me. Your action plan. Here is exactly what to do after reading this. 1. Stop eating at least 3 hours before bedtime. When you lie down with a stomach still actively digesting, gravity stops protecting you. 3 hours of upright time after your last meal gives your body a major advantage against silent reflux. 2. Raise the head of your bed by a few inches. Use a firm wedge or place something under the headboard legs, not just an extra pillow, which only bends your neck. Even a slight incline uses gravity to keep stomach contents where they belong overnight. 3. Drink 1 to 2 glasses of warm water first thing in the morning. Before coffee, before breakfast, before your medications. This single habit rehydrates your body after the overnight fast and immediately begins thinning accumulated mucus. Patients consistently report this as one of the most impactful changes. 4. Start daily nasal rinsing with warm saline. Use a neti pot or squeeze bottle from your pharmacy. Use water that has been boiled and cooled to a comfortable warm temperature, never straight tap water. Add a small pinch of salt and, optionally, a tiny pinch of baking soda. Once daily, ideally in the morning. Give it at least 2 weeks of consistent practice before judging the result. 5. Book a medication review with your doctor. Bring your full prescription list and the timeline of when your throat symptoms began. If you take a blood pressure medication, specifically ask whether it is an ACE inhibitor and whether an alternative might suit you better. Never stop anything on your own. Just ask the question. 6. Hydrate intentionally throughout the day. Do not wait for thirst. Set reminders. Keep water visible wherever you spend most of your time. Aim for steady sipping rather than large gulps. 7. Reduce environmental irritants in your home. Use a humidifier in winter. Avoid heavily scented candles. Switch to fragrance-free cleaning products and air out rooms after using strong chemicals. Small changes, big cumulative impact. A quick word on popular remedies. Honey has genuine soothing properties. It is not harmful and can ease symptoms temporarily, but it does not address the underlying cause. Dairy does not create mucus out of nothing. The science does not support that old claim. But in some people, dairy proteins can make existing mucus feel thicker. A 2 to 3 week reduction experiment is worth trying if you suspect it. And sugar in warm drinks can actually pull moisture out of your throat tissue through osmosis. So plain warm water, or warm water with a squeeze of lemon and no sugar, is the better choice. What I want you to take away: that persistent mucus in your throat is not something you have to accept as a normal part of getting older. It is a signal. And now you have a research-grounded framework for understanding what that signal might be telling you, along with a step-by-step plan to respond to it. Silent reflux, happening quietly while you sleep with no heartburn to warn you. Postnasal drip from low-grade sinus inflammation. Medication-related throat irritation now documented across thousands of peer-reviewed patients. And the combined background pressure of inadequate hydration and environmental irritants working silently against you. None of these require you to accept a life of constant throat clearing. Each has a practical, evidence-supported response, and none of them require a prescription to begin addressing. If anyone has ever told you, "It's just your age," I hope today gave you a very different perspective, because you deserve more than a dismissal. You deserve an explanation. Your age is not a weakness. Your knowledge is your power. And the moment you understand what your body is actually telling you, you stop being a passive passenger and you become the driver again. Everything I have shared today is general health information based on years of clinical experience and published medical research. Every person's situation is unique. Before making any health decisions, especially regarding medications, please consult your own doctor. I am Dr. Dan Carter. Take care of yourselves. Stay informed. I will see you in the next one.